Welcome to part 4 of Competency 9. In this video, we will answer questions relating to right triangles and trigonometric functions. Throughout this video, we will use inverse trig functions, including the 3 inverse trig functions you see listed, also the inverse of secant, cosecant, and cotangent. Number 1, if angle A equals 35 degrees and C equals 24, what is the value of A? Okay, so let's see. C equals 24 and A equals 35 degrees. Okay, they want the value of A. Well, because we know that A is the opposite leg from angle A, then we know A over C equals sine of theta, which would be written as this. Sine, oops, don't believe that's what I need. Okay, sine of 35, okay, equals the A, which is the opposite, over the 24. Now, if we multiply both sides by 24, okay, then what do? We can just cross out 24 over 24. Oops, that's a little much. Okay, we can just cross these out, and that'll give us A. So just pop that in the calculator. 24 sine, oops, and we need 35, close the parentheses, and with a little rounding, that is the value we need. Okay? All right, now let's go to 2. Okay? Okay, let's put this where we need it. Okay, number 2. If B equals 7.5 and C equals 40.2, what is the measure of A? So A is the theta we're looking for, okay? So we have adjacent over hypotenuse. Using the inverse cosine, because cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, that tells me we're using cosine. So we can just write it or put it like in your calculator, exactly like this, okay? Cosine inverse adjacent over hypotenuse. Put that in the calculator, and we should see the measure that we need. However, please note that these are all whole integer values, so we know we may have to round some, okay? All right, so we go second cosine, which you see gives us our inverse, and then 7.2 divided by 40 point, oh, no, 7.5 divided by 40.2. There we go. I think I said the wrong thing, okay? All right, now rounding slightly. Option B is the only one that even gets close, okay? So we're good. All right, now number 3. If A equals 7 and C equals 12, what is the measure of secant of measure? Okay, now they're asking for the whole measure, not the angle measure, but the measure of the angle B, okay? So they're wanting not the angle, but the actual overall value. Okay, so what do we need to do? Well, we know that the cosecant of theta will equal 1 over sine theta, okay? Which means we have 1 over. Well, if we're looking, well, we don't have, that's the glitch. We don't have this opposite b value. We need that. Well, how do we get that? Well, we use our calculator, okay? And to get b, the length of b, under the square root, we say hypotenuse squared minus whichever leg we have, which is the 7 squared. Okay, and whatever we get, that'll be our b. Okay, so let's see what happens. So secant squared, get our radical. 12 squared minus 7 squared. Okay, push enter. We can use that decimal though. See, look, I was thinking, oh, do we really want to use a decimal? Actually, we do, because our A, B, C, D options are decimals. So that is perfectly fine. And I see a decimal that I'm probably not going to use an option. This one right here, because that's the measure of our B when we round. Highly, highly unlikely that will be the angle measure also. Okay, so to get sine, we have 9.75 over the 12. But if we want this measure of, oh, excuse me, let me write this correctly, of cosecant, oh, I am honestly not sure how that happened. Okay, that was very strange. Okay, so that gives us cosecant theta actually equaling, we would use the reciprocal, okay? So that would actually be 12 over 9.75, okay? So what could we do? We can't put that in our calculator. Exactly. So I'm looking here, and I think that we could use sine to help us out with that. So now all we have to do, because we've used the sine and we know that we don't need to use an inverse, all we really need to do is take 12 and divide by the 9.75, just exactly the way I have it written. So let's pop that in our calculator, okay? So 12 divided by 9.75, push enter. And yes, we do have an option. That would be option D. And now if you look at this, C was the answer to one of our side lengths. 12 was a given. And maybe A could have worked, but now we know, looking at our sides and the thought of our angles we have, highly unlikely, right? Okay. All right, let's move on to number 4. Okay, number 4. If tangent angle A equals 6 over 5, what is the measure of angle B to the nearest whole degree? Okay, so this is what we need to look at. We know that tangent theta of any angle equals the, okay, which A? We're looking at A. So this is our, if I could, all right, let's see here. Make it where we can actually read it. Okay, so this would be our theta, okay? All right, so tangent theta, we know equals, that would be the opposite over the adjacent. So that tells me that this is the 6 and that this is the 5, okay? Remember, it's opposite over the adjacent. Okay. So that gives us that. Okay. So it says, what is the measure of angle B? Now they're not asking for A. So what do we need to do to get, okay, I'll call this alpha. We need alpha. Okay. So we actually just use the inverse tangent and flip. Instead of 6 over 5, we have 5 over 6. And that actually will work. So there are other ways to do this, okay? You could figure out the angle of A and then take 90 minus A and you'd get B. But I see an easier way out. So let's try tangent inverse. Now flip your 5 and your 6 because that's what you do for tangent. You go opposite is 5, adjacent is 6. Now let's put that in the calculator and see what happens, okay? Second tangent, okay? 5 divided by 6, close your parentheses. And if we round, do you see it? I do. And it says round. So that would be A. That's 40 degrees. Okay. All right. I'm going to change my colors here back to something just a little bit brighter. Okay. All right. So let's go to number 5. Now, number 5 is more of an application question. All right. A 72-foot ladder is leaning against the vertical side of a building. All right, I can already see that we need to do this. A little bit of this is your building, okay? All right. And this would be the ground. Now, you have this ladder and it's leaning. And again, pretend that I can draw. And it's 72 feet, okay? There's your ground. We'll call this G for ground, okay? If the angle of elevation is 42 degrees, then, okay, elevation means you're going to have the ground looking up. If you're looking up, that's the elevation. So this tells me that we have the 43 here, okay? All right, now, then the bottom of the ladder is how many feet from the building? So bottom of the ladder is where our ground is. And this says from the building. So we need this. Okay. So really, this is our C. And then this would be considered our A. Right? But that's what we're looking for. We don't have anything that it equals. I was going to put equals question mark, but I'll just circle it so you know. Okay, so this is what we can do. We have adjacent over hypotenuse. 72 is our hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse is cosine. So we can use that actual cosine to get what we need. Okay, so let's do that. So we have cosine 43, and that equals the adjacent of A, I don't know, over the 72. So you can already see algebraically, all we need to do is divide both sides by that 72. And the 72 cancels and leaves us A. So then we just put this in our calculator as is. So 72, okay, cosine 43, and push enter. And we should round. Looks, because they're all in decimal, looks rounded. Okay. Looks like A is what we need. B's not even close enough. Yeah, C's a little large, and D's definitely not large enough. So, yes, the only option we have is A. Okay? All right, now it says Eileen, number 6. Eileen is standing at point A. So, we have a diagram. She's standing on a bridge, okay? Which is the top of a bridge that is 150 feet the above and parallel to a lake. They're saying that the bridge is parallel to the right. I mean, the bridge. Ooh. So the bridge and the lake are parallel, and there's the boat down there in the lake. So this is the 150 feet. Okay. They're parallel, and that's the 150 is the shortest distance to the ground. Okay. All right. Now, she is looking at the boat at point A. Now, looking, she's looking at it, okay? I mean, at point B, if the angle of depression means going down, is 62 degrees. How many feet apart is Eileen from the boat? Now, here's the thing. The way this is all drawn, and you have this right angle, and you know those are parallel, they had to tell you that the lake and the bridge are parallel. And that gives you this particular angle here, because her sight, this angle, or rather this line, like she's looking down. How she's looking straight down. That's her line. We could call that a line, a transversal, like it's intersecting. The minute they did that, you know that this angle where the boat is also 62. And we could even get this other angle over here. And we know that that'd be a 90-degree angle. And 90 minus 62 equals 28. Or you could say, well, either way, it doesn't matter. I could, you could say this 90 and 62, that's 28. Or this is 90 here. Look, you got the 62. Either way, no matter how you want to look at it, that's 28. But I don't know if we need that, right? Okay, so because what are they asking? They're asking are how many feet apart are Arlene and the boat? So we have 150. We need this. And we know that the angle where the boat is 62. So couldn't we say that that's opposite over hypotenuse, and we could use sine? Sure. So we could use sine of 62. Oops, if I could write the right thing. There we go. 62, okay, equals what? Equals 150 over the x. Okay, so we're going to have to do a little bit of finagling. You might be able to see it. Okay, but I'm going to do all the steps, all right? First, I will multiply both sides by the x. Okay? All right. This cancels. I'm going to rewrite this, though. So this means that we have x times the sine of, oh, I keep wanting to write that backwards like a little kid. Actually, I'm just cutting ahead of myself. Why is it? Oh, that's why. Okay. All right. So that's 62 And then that will equal the 150. Okay? Now you see we have to divide both sides by sine of 62. So we cancel this and we end up with x equals all of this. So just pop that in the calculator and you're good to go. And you should get a relatively very close answer. So you just round and you're done. Okay? All right. 150 divided by sine of 62. And there we go. And the only thing that's even remotely close is option B. Okay. All right. This is the last question for this video. All right. And thank you so much for watching and liking and sharing our videos, and subscribing has really been awesome. Thank you guys so much. Happy testing.